Evening. My name is Maureen Lamazny. I'd like to welcome you to this meeting, the last meeting of the Police Reform Work Group. I welcome not only our members, but also the public who are watching these proceedings. If you're joining us for the first time, our mission is to provide our County Executive, Angela Alsobrooks, with substantive recommendations that will establish fair practices across the board, maximize transparency, and restore public trust in law enforcement. The work group was not created to decide the merits of any pending or potential litigation, nor will the work group make any factual determinations in regard to any lawsuits or controversies. The work group was created to make recommendations regarding the policies of the Prince George's County Police Department and not to resolve, discuss, or comment upon specific or alleged events. On tonight's agenda, we are going to hear comments from the members, and we're going to vote to accept or not accept the final report of this work group. Delegate Washington.
Thank you, Judge Lamazny, and hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Alonzo Washington, State Delegate for District 22 in Prince George's County and co-chair of the Police Reform Work Group. The work group has been meeting for the past several months to develop innovative structural reforms to the county's police department. We have held several presentations and discussions on training, hiring practices, employee retention, citizen complaints, the police department's budget, mental health, police use of force policies, and many more. We have also held multiple public listening sessions and reviewed dozens of submissions from residents across the county. After countless meetings and presentations, the work of our committee is finally complete. Let me say that again. After countless meetings and presentations, the work of our committee is finally complete. Today, we will take one last vote, as the judge mentioned, to approve the final report to be sent to the county executive. As someone who grew up in this county, the county that I love and care so much about, I've seen firsthand the need for drastic police reform in such a short amount of time. County residents made it clear that real, meaningful reform is needed. And I'm hopeful that these recommendations that you're going to hear, that most of you already heard, but that we will vote on today, are implemented to deliver much needed positive change in our community. Before we take a vote, I just want to, on behalf of the judge and I, and the co-chair and I, we want to thank the County Executive Angela Alsobrooks for establishing this work group and giving me the opportunity and giving us both the opportunity to lead it. I want to thank my fellow co-chair, Judge Maureen Lamazny, for her expertise and assistance in leading this effort. Our hard-working subcommittee chairs who took on such hard work in developing these recommendations, Dr. Chris Marsh, Delegate Juanita Fisher, Mr. Glenn Ivey, Ms. Judy Danso, Ms. Florence Felix Lawson, all the work group members for their persistent work on these issues, all of the county staff who have helped us put these together, including Lieutenant Charmaine Harvin, Ms. Marion Brewer, Mr. Ryan Middleton, Ms. Sadia Noah Hope, and additional support staff and interns, and all the other additional support staff and interns who have helped us put this report together. And I actually have to thank my staff, my legislative aide, Sam Jackson, who has done a fantastic job in keeping me focused on this task and getting things done for our community here in Prince George's County. And also want to lastly, and most importantly, thank the residents of Prince George's County. Without them, this work group would not be possible. So with that said, and with all these thanks, I want to ask if I can have a motion to move the recommendations favorably. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to move the recommendations favorably.
That was moved by Mr. Barnes and yes, seconded by Keith Lottridge and Councilmember Rodney Streeter. And with that said, are there any, it's been probably moved and seconded. Do I hear any comments? The first comment we'll have is from Mr. Orlando Barnes.
Thank you. I wanted to thank County Executive Alsobrooks and Sheriff Melvin High for recommending me to serve as a member of this police reform work group. Local and national events demonstrate the need for responsible and thoughtful community involvement to maintain public confidence in institutions such as the police. In our efforts to reimagine public safety in Prince George's County, we crafted thoughtful recommendations that build on existing successes as well as areas where improvement is needed, because no institution is perfect. I look forward to seeing recommendations from this work group implemented in the near future. Thank you again for this opportunity to serve.
Thank you. We'll take next, and I'm gonna ask anyone else that wants to make a comment to either place it in the chat and let us know that you want to make a comment, or raise your hand and I'll call on you. I'm gonna call on next Delegate Juanica Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to just thank everyone on this work group for their hard work and dedication. I want to thank our County Executive, Angela Alsobrooks, for not just waiting for change, but being an agent of change. And a part of that is creating this task force work group to work on these issues. And I want to thank Judge Lamazny and you, Mr. Chair, Delegate Washington, for your leadership, for herding the sheep to get this done. And I specifically want to thank the members of my subcommittee. I got to serve as the chair for compliance for this work group. And I really want to thank Keith Lottridge and Orlando Barnes and Ms. Rhea Harris, who is our county executive staff, for helping me through that. We had a lot of content to bite off, and it was just a wonderful experience. I think our county, I've been thinking about all the issues, and our county is and should be leading on the state on what justice looks like, on what community policing looks like, about a county that's not only invested in their force, but invested in the community that it represents. And I think we're well on our way. And we should always be leading the standard, not just meeting it. And that's what Prince George's County does, and we will continue to do. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Ms. Josephine Morning.
Excuse me. Thank you so much. I first want to also reach out and thank our County Executive Angela Alsobrooks for choosing me to be on this committee. I also would love to thank Judge Lamazny and Delegate Washington. It's been a pleasure to serve with all of you on this committee. I mean, I've gotten to meet some people that I've seen names but never knew their face. And so this has been a wonderful experience. I know that I asked a lot of questions and I probably was getting on some nerves, but believe me, it was not about me. It was about the people. And this is what they brought questions to me for me to bring to the committee. And so I brought them to the committee. They didn't have the opportunity to be here. I know to be here, you know, to ask the questions when we had different presenters and everything. So, you know, I was the person that they would call and send emails and ask me to present questions before the committee. So I thank y'all for putting up with me with a lot of questions that I did ask. And hopefully these recommendations will be accepted. And if they are accepted, I know one thing, Prince George's County is going to be changed like we've never seen it before. And it's all because of us, all of us. It wasn't about one person, it was about this whole committee and the community submitting their suggestions. And thank you so much for this opportunity to work with all of you. And I hope you all have a happy holiday.
Thank you. Thank you for that. We'll next have Ms. Krista Oriata.
Thank you. Again, want to thank the county executive for the opportunity to serve on this committee. And thank you, Judge, and the delegate for just leading us. And we had a short time frame to get these recommendations put together. And I think that you shepherded us and did an awesome job ensuring that we had thoughtful conversations, and then also thanking all of the members of the committee, because it was a lot of time and effort put behind the scenes, reading and making sure we were all on the same page. And I want to echo, I ask a lot of questions. I am an organizer and activist, and that is what brought me to this position and the lens in which I brought to the table. And I think a lot of us have different perspectives, but we had the opportunity to work together and respect everyone and everyone's opinions. And I appreciate that. I also want to thank all of the community members and the organizations, PG Changemakers, and all of the work that went behind closed doors, behind the scenes, to really engage the community continuously, because what was important to me is that the recommendations that I brought forth were not mine, but those that were elevated from the people in the communities. This movement and moment has been birthed on the graves of people. And I think the spirit of that was so important to me, for us never to forget that we didn't just come to this moment organically. We came to this moment because people are dying and people are hurting and people are crying and begging for change. I think these recommendations are a step in the right direction, but there are recommendations that did not make it to the full report, and I'm going to be elevating those recommendations and asking for them to still be considered, and asking for us now to rally behind these recommendations and other recommendations, not just of PG Changemakers or any one organization, but this is just one step. We've now given ideas, and now we have to activate and mobilize and push and hold all of our elected officials responsible and accountable for ensuring that these don't just stay on a piece of paper, that they actually become legislation, that the funding that we ask for actually exists. So not all of our work is done. The work didn't start with this reform group. It started with the families of Leonard Shand and William Green and so many other people. And so I just thank those families that continue to show up and fight through the hurt and through the pain. And I'm just thankful that I can take that burden from you sometimes and show up and elevate the voices of your families on this work group and the voices of the community. And again, just thanking everyone for the time that they put into this report, but this knowing that we are going to elevate other recommendations that did not make it to this report, because there's more to be done, but this is a great first step. Thank you for the time.
Thank you. And just on time, man. Look at that. I'm so proud of you.
I know, first time, only time.
Councilmember Streeter is next to speak.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I too want to begin by thanking the county executive for taking real leadership in this matter. And I also want to thank the county council for allowing me the opportunity to be their representative with the task force. And I want to thank all of you. I think there were some amazing people on the task force. She couldn't have done a better job of selecting people from a broad spectrum of opinions, ideas, and experiences to be part of this. I think that our recommendations were thoughtful, deliberative, and I thought that the subcommittees in particular were well run. The leadership was outstanding on our subcommittees. Judge Lamazny and Alonzo Washington, the delegate, were there to keep us steered in the right direction and not getting too far into the weeds, so that we could have something that was productive and that we can produce in the amount of time that we were allotted in this matter. Sure, there are many more reforms that I think that we could take a look at, but this is an amazing first step. It was an opportunity to be part of history. It was an opportunity to look at this matter in a more comprehensive way than I've seen it done in years. And I think some real good recommendations came out of it. I look forward to being part of the implementation strategy that is the next step of this. And so I just want to thank you all for your time and efforts, for working with me. Some of you I've worked with in the past, and I've made some amazing relationships that I hope will continue into the future. So thank you all, and thank you for allowing me to be a part of it.
Thank you, Councilman. And we'll go to Judge Lamazny.
I wanted to echo what couple of our members have said. And first of all, I'd like to thank everybody on this task force. I was so impressed with everybody's work ethic, with everybody's determination, and with everybody's professionalism. This was the most congenial group of people working together, I think, that I have ever seen. So I think the content of our report, thanks to our members and our subcommittees, is just outstanding. I think the presentation from that Mr. Middleton, how he prepared the report, is also outstanding. It looks like $1 million report, and the staff really did a fabulous job. I agree with Ms. Oriata 100%. This is a step. I think it was Ruth Bader Ginsburg who said, any substantial change, it happens step by step. This is a step. I think it's a giant step, but there's more work to be done. So I think everyone was fabulous community leaders. Thank you.
Thank you. Sonia Pruitt, Ms. Pruitt.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I want to give the usual thank yous to the judge and Delegate Washington. I know this must have been a lot for you to do on top of the other professional things that you all are involved in, but you really ran a tight ship, and I personally appreciate that. Thank you to the rest of the task force members. We had some really interesting, deep-seated and controversial conversations, and I see that everybody made it through, so that's a wonderful thing. The staff, like Lieutenant Harvin and Ryan Middleton, appreciate all the hard work, his administrative stuff, you know, putting these things together. The report looks excellent. All those things are really important when we present a final product. To the county executive, thank you for the ask to the county executive through Miriam Brewer, who is my Howard sister. And we had a really interesting conversation before I said yes. I said, you know how I feel about things, and you know that I am very no nonsense. And she was like, we still want you. So I accept it. I appreciate the challenge, because it was challenging for me, because many other things that we talked about and that we were focused on were things that were dear to my heart while I was a police officer. And now that I am on the other side of policing and I'm more in the social justice realm, still working on law enforcement issues, they are still important to me, as well as the lives of the people that we have lost thus far in this challenge that we have in this country between the police and our underserved and our vulnerable Black communities in particular. So I would ask that we all continue to challenge ourselves. I come from Montgomery County professionally. I spent 28 years serving there, but I have committed myself now to doing more for my own county that I live in, which is Prince George's County. It's a wonderful place to be. I don't want to be anywhere else. And so some of you are going to hear from me in the future, because I've got some other projects I'm working on, and I'm going to really want your expertise if you are willing. So again, thank you, and have a wonderful holiday.
Thank you, Ms. Pruitt. Next, we'll have Mr. Keith Lockridge.
I shouldn't have gone behind the judge or Ms. Oriata, because they made some of the points I wanted to make. But let me start with, I want to comment on the fact that our county executive, Ms. Alsobrooks, put together this group. I am the public defender for Prince George's County, and we have some very strong advocates for what some people would perceive as radical social change, which I consider to be the correct social change. But she brought those people into the public forum to discuss reform for the Prince George's County Police Department. I'm not just going to say thank you, I'm going to acknowledge that that was a pretty brave thing for her to do, because this is a public forum and it kind of puts the heat on her. So I thank her for that. That was a brave step, and I think it shows a real commitment to this. And the people she put in charge of this, Judge Lamazny, Delegate Washington, when this began, I was thinking, well, let's see what this is. I cannot imagine it could have gone better, or that the product could have been better than what we've seen. And the committee members, I'm more than impressed. I've worked in this county for a very long time, and working in the courthouse, which is mostly where my life exists, is a small bubble. But seeing this group and the effort and care, both sides, was amazing. And for that, I'm grateful, and for all the work everybody put in. I was a little conflicted about this, honestly, because I have represented several people who have been shot by the police. Every day, public defenders see people who are affected negatively by the police. I have also befriended officers in this county, and one of them was shot not long ago, who I know and is still recovering. These are not easy issues, but we have a county that I think is torn. And I think the reason I mentioned Ms. Oriata and Judge Lamazny is because they talked about this is a first step. I think this is an amazing first step, but we cannot lose sight of the fact that this is still just a first step. So I am grateful to have been a part of it. I thank everybody for their amazing work on this. And I encourage everybody to continue advocating, to looking for the best solutions. And I do also acknowledge, I need to acknowledge, the police department came in and did several presentations. And again, I'm the public defender. I'm usually on the other side of this. I want to thank them for their forthcoming information. I think they were a participant in this, and I think that I need to at least acknowledge that, given the fact that that's usually what I'm not acknowledging, given my normal role. So last, thank you all. Take care.
Thank you, Mr. Lottridge. Mr. Ivy, Mr. Glenn Ivy.
Thank you very much. I do want to join in thanking the county executive for putting this work group together. I think it took real leadership to do it. And I'm going to thank her in advance, and as well as the county council, for the work that they're going to put in to push these reform efforts forward and to get them implemented, whether it's through the police department. Some instances it'll be county legislation that's needed, others it'll be state legislation that's needed. And some's going to be a heavy lift from the community as well. But I know that she's going to continue to do great work, and the county council will join with her. I also want to thank Judge Lamazny, Delegate Washington. I thought you did an outstanding job of shepherding this work group forward. And I think the document we've generated speaks for itself. I think it's a strong, comprehensive effort at real police reform. Obviously, there are going to be some additional proposals that didn't get in, but might get worked on down the road. Some are going to be in there that aren't going to make it through. But I thought we made a strong effort to work together and to put together a solid proposal that can make a difference in the community. I want to thank my subcommittee members too, and the other members of the task force. And a lot of the people that came to testify I was extremely impressed with, especially the people who were advocates on these issues. I first came across police reform and criminal justice reform when I started working for Congressman Conyers in 1987. And so, and it was a cold winter then, frankly. People weren't paying attention to it, and little did we know there were even darker days ahead. But I want to thank them for doing that work through the difficult times, and the times are still difficult now. But look at the progress that's been made due to your efforts, and I want to thank you for that. I also want to say this too. I think this is a strong work product, but really the heavy lifting begins now. The test begins now. The challenge begins now on whether we can get this work done. And it's not just passing legislation. It's not just adopting new general orders. It's really going to take an effort at the individual level, on a day-to-day level, to make this thing work. And so to the police chief who hasn't been picked yet, I want to ask for your assistance in making this happen. To the members of the police department, I've already gotten blowback from some of you all. I understand this is new terrain, and these are, a lot of people are questioning what police do. But I think, frankly, the time's long overdue for that. The time has come for us to take a look, not only at the police, but at all of us who play a role in this criminal justice process, and to reevaluate what we're doing and make sure we're trying to move it in the right direction and improve it. And I know there's a lot of proposals in here, but one set that I think is critical is the data production. Now, that's not a sexy issue, but to the extent we're going to be able to evaluate whether the proposals we've recommended and have been implemented are making a difference, it's got to be data driven. And there's going to be proposals and innovations that come out of the data that we haven't even thought of yet. But I think that's going to be critical to make sure that we make the most of that. So I do want to conclude by saying Prince George's County, in my view, has always been kind of a shining city on the hill. People look to us across the nation for the innovative work that we do, especially to the extent it crosses with racial issues. And I think it's critical on us to keep moving forward in this leadership position that we have, making a difference, especially on this issue right now, which is not only important at the county level and the national level. And I saw just the other day, a guy in France got beaten down by the police over no apparent reason. So this is an international issue. George Floyd's taken on international connotations. We've got it in our power to make a difference now that sets an example for not only the county and the nation, but the world. So thank you for letting me be part of this, and I look forward to working with you in the future to make this happen.
Well said. That was great. Thank you, Mr. Ivy. I even gave you 2 minutes extra, man. It was perfect. Any other comments before we close it out?
Well, Delegate, let me just say, I don't see Ms.
Mr. Robinson. Pastor Robinson, absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't see Ms. Florence online, but I'm sure I speak for her and the rest of our committee, Ms. Mooring, Ms. Jackson. We had a great time together. I've been at this for a long while. My interest has always been in dealing with people that don't like police officers. That's where the rubber meets the road, and trying to bring some relationship between law enforcement and those that don't like police officers. I was in that frame of mind myself for a long while, and by the grace of God, through 50 years of preaching and the gospel, has changed my whole point of view and perspective that has put me in a position of trying to be fair about this thing. And it wasn't until I took the Citizens Police Academy and I have this portion of use of force called Milo. I'll be very honest with you, I shot everything. Everything that moved, I shot it. It's just a perspective that gives you some idea of what's going on in a police officer's mind. It helped to change a lot of my perspective, what they're faced with, along with the other inequities that we do find ourselves faced with from abuse by police officers. But I just want to thank each and every one of you. I've learned a lot. I appreciate each and every one of you. I want to thank the county exec for assigning me to this process. And I hope to see many of you, during the year. Anything I can do to help any one of you, I'd love to. Just know all I need to do is hey, if it's in my ability to do, I'll be more than happy to do that. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you, Pastor Robinson. Anyone else? Okay, with that said, I just want to just say, I just got to say another thank you to all the speakers that came before us, multiple of the advocates that came in front of us that spoke before us. Again, the inter-police chief who came in front of us multiple times to speak in front of us to give us some credible information. And I gotta thank again the county executive's office staff, Miss Miriam, Lieutenant Harvin, and Mr. Middleton. Mr. Middleton was working, Mr. Middleton and Dr. Marsh, were working day in and day out when our last meeting ended and put together such a great proposal for us, and we're forever grateful. I think many of you already saw that another report was released that came out with 17 pages. This report has 104 pages of work that you all put together and presentations that we put together and thoroughness and annotations and references. And, it's such a well put together report that is very impressive. And I think once the community gets its hands on it, I think everybody will be impressed by the work that this work group has done. And I think it just can't go on without saying it once more, that, this is the first step. It begins now. The work begins now, and advocates must stand up now. Families at home must stand up now. Families and victims of police violence must stand up now. Our police department must stand up now, because there's some great things in there for them to make sure that they're well protected and they're well taken care of, and that this is an attractive job for them. We want to make sure that when they are going to work every day, that they feel safe and secure, and that this county has their back as much as they have their community's back. And so we all should stand up and make sure that this report gets fully implemented, because we did a comprehensive report that we looked at all sides of the table. We put in recommendations that could be moved at the state level, that can be moved at the county level, and even municipalities can move on some of these pieces of some of these recommendations too. And so we looked at all pieces in all areas of implementation. We did that purposely. You know, that was our intentions, and we wanted to make sure that we didn't leave any stone unturned. And as Ms. Oriata said earlier, there are some recommendations that are not included in here, but you know, we use a democratic process in order to make sure that we work together to make sure that the recommendations were comprehensive enough that we all could agree on them. And I think we all do agree on most of the recommendations in here. So I'm appreciative of all, as the judge said earlier, the congeniality. We are excited to see each other and after such a long break. But we got so many things done. There's racial equity in here. There's gender equity in here. You know, we want to make sure that our families at home feel safe and secure, and that our police officers, when they go to work, that they're proud to be on the force, and that they can be proud to be and that they're proud to be Prince Georgians. So with that said, I just want to thank you all, everybody here. I mean, from Lieutenant Harvin to Pastor Robinson to Tara Jackson, to Orlando Barnes, to Dwayne Preston, to Krista Oriata, to Chris Marsh, Pastor Robinson, Sonia Pruitt, Delegate Fisher, Glenn Ivey, Ryan Middleton, Maureen Lamazny. Maureen Lamazny, thank you for your leadership and your partnership. It has been amazing working with you. We didn't even know we were neighbors before this, and kind of found out we are. And I can't wait to see you once this whole COVID thing is over, and finally be able to meet you in person. And it's just like that during this COVID time that we don't have the opportunity to meet in person, but we got this done even without meeting in person. Can you believe that? We got this done without meeting in person. I mean, during this time and this crunch, and during this Black Lives Matter movement too. So I'm just so grateful for everybody, man. Just a Black man growing up in Prince George's County. This has been I can't believe I'm even in this seat. When the county executive's office called me, I was like, are you sure? Do you know who you're talking to? And I just could not believe that they wanted me to lead this thing. And so I am forever grateful. I appreciate the 30 hours a week I put into this thing. I'm gonna learn it forever and keep it forever, but it's been a long task and a long road ahead, but we've gotten here. And so I am looking forward to this final vote, because it is over and we all can go back to our full work and our lives, and see this thing fully implemented. So with that said, Lieutenant Harvin, let's call the roll.
You want to do the attendance, or you want to just go ahead and move the motion to vote?
We already moved the motion. The motion's already been moved and seconded. We've closed the comments have been closed now. And so now we're all just voting on we're all now taking a vote now.
Okay. Judge Lamazny, how do you vote?
I vote to accept the final report. I vote yes.
Delegate Washington?
I vote yes.
I believe Dr. Askew is absent. Mr. Barnes?
I vote yes.
Ms. Danzo?
I vote yes.
Is Ms. Felix Lawson present?
No.
Delegate Fisher?
I vote yes.
Ms. Gutierrez?
I vote yes.
Mr. Ivy?
Vote yes.
Should I say Madam Chief Administrative Officer Jackson?
Vote yes.
Mr. Lotrich?
I vote yes.
Mr. Ruddy?
I vote yes.
Dr. Marsh?
I vote yes.
Ms. Morning?
I vote yes.
Ms. Ordaya?
I vote yes.
Mr. Preston?
I vote yes.
Ms. Pruitt,
I vote yes.
Pastor Robinson,
I vote yes.
is Mr. Ross present? Don't believe so.
No.
Councilman Streeter,
I vote yes.
Mr. Turner,
I vote yes.
and I don't believe Judge Williams is present.
No.
So Delegate Washington, for all of those are present, we have a vote by consensus to accept the final reform work group report.
Okay, thank you. We have accepted, the report has been formally accepted by the full work group. And congratulations to everyone for your hard work and your dedication. And you should be applauding yourselves right now because this was fantastic. So great work to everybody. So happy that we've gotten this done. It will now be sent to the county executive for her review and consideration. And so you'll be able to find this on, I'm pretty sure, on the county executive's website once we are there. We also want to just, Judge, do you have any final comments before we close out?
Just a last thank you.
Perfect. We can take that. And I just wanted to just say congratulations to DCAO Jackson, who is for her future endeavors. I'm sure she's making history, and we're excited that she's in that position and will be in that position at some point. If it hasn't been done already, I'm sure the council is going to approve it at some point too. Black women leading, man. I love it. I love it. I love
Congratulations.
it. I love it. Congratulations. We're very happy for you.
I appreciate it.
The position.
Absolutely. Okay, well, with that said, everybody, thank you very much. And you'll be able to find Miss Miriam. You have something to say? We can't hear you, Miss Miriam.
You're muted.
I don't think everyone knows what DCAO Jackson is being.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I wasn't sure if this was a secret yet. So I'm a little. I've been working on a report like Ryan. So my head has been in the books the last few days.
It's not a secret now.
Okay, great to hear. Okay, so we want to congratulate our County Administrative Officer Tara Jackson for being appointed to the position by our great County Executive Angela Alsobrooks. So congratulations to you, madam.
Very good.
Member of this work group.
Very well deserved.
That means that this is going to be that. I think, Madam CAO, do you want to say a couple words?
Well, I just thank you. I thank you. I'm honored to serve. I've been serving this county for some time now. Didn't start with Mr. Johnson, Mr. Ivy, and then the current county executive. And so, it's good work we do. And just seeing this group of people that are so interested in seeing the county move forward just does my heart well. So thank you. And thank you for your leadership, Judge Lamazny and Delegate Washington. I'm going to do my best to make Prince George's proud. Thank you.
And we're sure you will. So thank you for that. And does that make you the first Black and first woman? Does that make you the first woman? No?
No, I believe Mr. Johnson had a woman CAO for a period of time.
Got it. Okay, fair enough. Okay, well, we're happy to have you in that position. So, and look forward to you implementing these recommendations. Right, everybody?
Thank you.
All right. With that said, thank you, everyone, and thank you for your time.
Hey, Delegate. I'm sorry, but Ms. Florence just came on. We should at least acknowledge her before we close out.
Look at you, always looking out, Miss Florence Felix Lawson. You wanna say a couple words about the report and about your work group, about your subcommittee?
I will say that it was my first formal work group in the county, and I really didn't know what I was getting into until we got into the meat of the subcommittee. And I will say that I have been honored, and I mentioned this after we had given our recommendation. I was honored to work with such a dedicated and committed and diverse group of leaders in our county. And I think that not only the work in our subcommittee, I learned so much from my individual subcommittee members, but also from a lot of you. You taught me a lot about not only leadership, but about compromise and pushing for what's important and for what's right, but also compromising for us to get to the best results. So I thank you all. And thank you for your leadership, Delegate Washington and Judge Lamazny. It's been an honor.
Thank you. Truly, it has been. Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. And Ryan, if we could thank everyone at home. Please be safe. As we know, the coronavirus numbers are going up in our county and in our area. We ask that you stay safe, wear a mask, and be safe out there. Thank you very much. Ryan, if we could go unlive, that'd be great.